Hi, this is Tshifhiwa Tshivhengwa, the CEO of the Tourism Business Council of South Africa, and this is my message for the year end in 2022. This year, I do believe that we did a lot of good things as a sector. We started off the year with more challenges, if I may put it that way. We were red listed by the UK due to the variant that we had here in South Africa, the Omicron variant, and many other countries followed, and we saw the decline in the numbers of international inbound in December last year, followed by January and parts of February. And we also saw that we still were under the COVID restrictions, under the Disaster Management Act, followed by the health regulations. In other words, the PCR tests were still required, and many other restrictions were still in place that prevented the MICE industry to fully reopen and to realize its potential. We also had other challenges throughout the economy here in South Africa that really saw a lot more people still out of work. However, we managed to deal with the restrictions, negotiate with government, and we managed to get those restrictions removed. We also managed to get the health regulations to be scrapped. And also we managed to ensure that many countries that had red listed us reversed their decisions. One of the things that we spoke about at the TBCSA strategy session was to say, how do we reignite demand? And the reignition of demand meant that how do we make sure that the domestic travel continues to sustain the industry? And also how do we ensure that the pent-up demand from the international inbound is realized? And also, how do we ensure that the demand that we saw for conferencing, sporting events is realized? And that was one of the biggest things that we said we were going to do. And by doing so, it meant that we needed to work very closely with our various associations to make sure that that reignition of demand is realized. Also working together with South African tourism and the provincial authorities to ensure that we all hunt as a peg as we go to the international markets, as well as sustaining the domestic market. So that part of our strategy, is starting to show some good results. We've seen airlines increasing capacity into South Africa. We've seen introduction of new routes to Mpumalanga by Eurowings. And we've seen many other domestic airlines really coming on board with Kome going under, really increasing capacity on the ground, connecting Southern Africa and ensuring that there is smooth movement of tourists across the region. We've agreed on putting together various working groups that will focus on different issues that affect the industry. And these issues, spans from issues of branding and marketing, issues of how do we market within the source markets, how do we work together, issues of events, issues of road shows. Those issues will be covered by these working groups. One of the things that we spoke about beginning of this year was an issue around the digital nomad visas. And that issue has been advocated by various stakeholders within the private sector as well as the public sector across the tourism value chain. The Committee in Home Affairs that was tasked to look at that particular issue has made a recommendation to Home Affairs to say this is something that we need to do as a country. So that's positive. Also, we talk about issues around the e-visa system to say that it needs to be more robust and it needs to be able to really facilitate the growth of tourism into South Africa. And Home Affairs has reported that they are busy working on possibly new model that will accelerate the issuing of e-visas. We just recently saw the announcement by the President that Kenya, starting from next year, won't require visa to come to South Africa. So that's positive. We need more countries within the African continent to be granted visa waivers. We have good markets in West Africa. People want to come to South Africa. They just need to get their visas on time, or we need to grant visa waivers to those particular countries. Also, the issues around the NPTR in terms of the operating permits. We've held various meetings with all the stakeholders. We will continue to do so. We have elevated this issue all the way to the presidency. We don't want to see our vehicles being impounded by various traffic police across all the 9 provinces. So we are busy negotiating to ensure that we get some sort of reprieve when it comes to the impounding of the vehicle. So we're going to make sure as the TBCSA that we stay on top of those issues to make sure that they get into the conclusion. The new initiatives that are going to come into 2023, we will have to make sure that those initiatives are robust. And some of the things that we're looking at is how do we accelerate youth employment within the sector. We are also looking at how do we make sure that all the tourism corridors across the board are safe and secure for tourists. And also we're going to make sure that all the work that we need to do with South African tourism, especially in the working groups, in terms of informing the APP, that work is done, and all of us, between the public sector and the private sector, we all go and hunt as a pack so that we can achieve the results that we so desire in this country, and we make sure that we impact the economy of the country. To everyone who has really been resilient in the industry, to everyone who has helped us out here at the TBCSA, to the board of the TBCSA and the board of TOMSA, and everyone who's within the tourism sector and those that are within the sectors that support tourism, I want to say that it has been a tough year, and we need to always keep in mind that there are many colleagues of ours that could not make it, and I think it's important that we need to acknowledge that as we get to the end of the year. But congratulations for making it this far, and I would like to wish you a very good holiday season. We can say that it's going to be one of the biggest seasons that we've ever had, and let's make sure that it's a safe one. Let's make sure that it is one of those holidays to remember. I know that we don't go on holiday during this time. This is the time for us to work. Let's always put it in mind that we are hospitality and we live it every day.